Hey guys, it's Crazy Comic Lady here, and if you're new to my channel, hello! And if you're one of my old subscribers, thanks for sticking with me for so long. So today I'm working on a piece called Pisces, and this is what it looks like when it's finished. Focus camera, yeah. And it's by the artist called, sorry, I'm going to really butcher saying this name, Ciro Marchetti. So I'm actually entering this into an event this year, which is called Mermaids and Magic 2023. And this is the biggest canvas I think I've ever worked on to date. It's 55.8 by 55.8, and I could not fit it on my desk. So I've kind of had to roll half of it. I'm just going to show you right there. It's all rolled up just to try and get it to fit on my desk. So working on this today. I will post a link in the video description if you guys want to check out the event, possibly enter and see if you can win some awesome prizes. And I'm just going to tell you a bit about my week, because it was a bit of a disaster this week. So I've mentioned in the past that I've had issues with my mental health, especially over the last few years. And finally, after an entire year of being on the waiting list to get some help for my anxiety and depression and all that, and finally at the top of the waiting list, so I started this course in starting in Leatherhead, a managing emotions course, and that was on Tuesday. And I checked with my dad the day before, and I was like, "Are you sure you're happy to take me and come get me afterwards? Are you sure?" Because my father, I've mentioned, has dementia. And he was like, yes, not a problem. He went out and he pumped the tyres up on the car, and the next day we drove to Leatherhead. It's only 25 minutes from where I live, and we couldn't quite find where on earth we were supposed to go. So after we went round in a circle twice, I was like, just drop me off here at this little car park, because we've driven past it twice. It's very noticeable. I will make my own way on foot from here. So he drops me off, and I said, I'll see you back here 4 o'clock in the little car park, right? Come pick me up at 4 o'clock. I'll be here waiting, right? So I go to the course. I find my way. I get in. That's a 2-hour course, and then at the end of the course, I check with people and say, my dad's got dementia. Could anyone next week possibly give me a lift home, so I don't have to worry about my dad coming and getting lost or anything? And one of the guys at the course said, yeah, it's not a problem. Just remind me next week, because I drive through your town to get home anyway. So I was like, that's good. Cool, that's next week sorted. So I walk, or at this point I actually hobble back to Lidl, because it's cold and my health is badly affected by cold weather. I mentioned I've got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and deformed ankle joints and chronic pain. So I get back to Lidl, to the car park, and there's no sign of the car. So I thought, well, maybe he's running late. I'll ring home to see what time he left the house. And my dad answers the phone, and I'm like, haven't you left yet? And he'd forgotten to come and get me. So he comes. He said, I'll be there soon. He gets in the car. I was like, okay, not a problem. I haven't eaten all day. It's 4:30 at this point, and I go into Lidl, buy myself a cold slice of pizza, because they didn't have any sandwiches or anything. And I go and I sit on the wall outside Lidl, eating my cold slice of pizza and just waiting. And after 50 minutes, I start getting a bit worried. I'm like, this is taking a while. And after I'd bought my pizza, I'd actually rung my partner, who was still at work at the time, and said, Dad's on his way to get me now. He forgot. And had a quick chat with him. So after 50 minutes, I'm getting worried, and I ring the house phone at home, and my mum answered, and I said, what time does Dad leave? Because it's been 50 minutes now, and I'm getting a bit worried. And she was like, he took about another 10 minutes before he left, because he was fiddling with the sat nav. So I was like, okay, so maybe, there's just a bit of traffic and he's held up. So after an hour and 10 minutes, I'm starting to get a bit more concerned, and I ring my partner up and say, he's at home from work now at this point. So I ring him up and I say, I'm getting a bit worried. Is it normal to take an hour and 10 minutes just to get to Leatherhead from where we live? And he's like, possibly. If there's lots of traffic, it's possible that he's just being held up. Don't worry about it. So I was like, okay, I'll give him another half an hour. So I'm staying on this wall. At this point, it's raining. It's cold. I feel like I can't leave the wall because if he drives past and misses me, then it's going to be a whole thing. So I actually walk down the main road in the way we'd driven in, and I walk all the way to the little roundabout and back again, and I did that twice. And each time I was walking past this lovely Italian restaurant that smelled absolutely delicious, and I'm starting to get more and more worried. So at this point, it's been another 40 or 50 minutes, and I ring up my partner again, and I'm like, at this point, I'm starting to get really, really worried. It's now completely dark. I'm freezing and wet. This creepy guy had been staring at me and not at my face. And because of the cold and the damp, my knees are starting to play up really, really badly at this point. So I'm getting these chronic knee spasms to the point where now I can't move off the wall because I'm stuck. I've used up my allotted spoons for the day, if you're familiar with the spoon theories. So I'm now in a state because I can't move. I'm in a lot of pain. I'm very cold, I'm very wet, I'm very worried, and you've got all these racing thoughts now going through your head of what on earth has happened. We've now hit the 2-hour mark. It's dark and cold. Has he had an accident? What's happened? Am I going to have to call the police? I can't quite remember the car number plate. I can only remember the last 3 digits of the number plate. Would the police be able to find him with just the last 3 digits of the number plate? What has happened? Has he gotten lost, or has he had an accident? And if he's been hurt, then it's all my fault because I shouldn't have let him come and get me. So I'm now in a state, I'm panicking. The pain is feeding my anxiety is feeding my pain. So now it's become a vicious circle of complex regional pain syndrome where it's just one thing is feeding into another. I'm panicking now at this point, so I ring my partner again. It's been over 2 hours at this point, and I said, I'm basically a head case down the phone, and I'm crying, and I don't know what to do. And he was like, okay, I'm going to come and get you, and I will keep an eye out on the road just to see if there's been any kind of accidents or if I can spot him. And he said he checked on his phone and everything and said, 26 minutes is estimating for me to get to you. 26 minutes on the dot. There he is. I see his van coming, and I point to the car park, the little car park, so that he can go down there. And I go up to the window, and I say, do you want to go and park and then come back and wait with me on the step? And he was like, no, get in the van. Get in the van. And I said, no, I can't leave the wall, because what if Dad drives by? I've got to be here. And he's like, he very calmly said to me, Steph, get in the van. So I went around and I got in the van, and we drove and took up 4 car parking spaces because the car park was empty at this point, so we just parked wherever. And I kept saying, no, I need to be back by the wall. I've got to be over there, because what if Dad drives past and he doesn't see me? And again, my partner says, no, Steph, no, what you need right now is to be sitting in the van getting warm. That's what you need to do right now. And he said, give me your phone, because I'd already told him that I hadn't fully charged my phone before I left the house, so I was down to 30% at this point. So he took my phone, he plugged it into the charger in the car, and I'd told him that I'd completely run out of cigarettes, and the only supermarket, the only Lidl I've ever seen that doesn't sell cigarettes. So he passed me a cigarette because he got me some cigarettes. So I sat in the car, in the van, and I smoked my cigarette. And I had a drink because I hadn't drunk for 3 hours at this point, because I was worried that if I needed to go and wee, then where am I going to go and find a wee, and am I going to miss Dad driving past? So have a drink, have a cigarette, and then my partner says, try ringing your mum again. So I ring, and it says user busy, I can't get through. And he said, it's okay, just give it a few minutes and then ring again. And I was like, no, I'm just going to hit redial repeatedly until she answers. And she answers, and she says, it's all right, I've heard from him. I've told him to come home. He was just on the phone. I've told him to come home and that your partner's gone and picked you up. And I was like, oh my God, the relief. I've never been so scared and anxious in like my whole life. Oh my God, it was horrifically awful. Just the fear and the worry and the guilt over if anything's happened. So what had happened was my dad had completely forgotten where he dropped me off. He'd completely forgotten anything that I'd said about Lidl, which I don't know if you get Lidl in other companies, but it's just a grocery supermarket. So he'd forgotten about Lidl. He'd forgotten where I said to meet him. He'd come into Leatherhead through a different route to the way we'd originally driven in. So he's at the very top of Leatherhead, driving around for 2.5 hours in a circle, not being able to find me, because I'm at the very bottom of Leatherhead High Street by the Lidl, and he's at the very top driving around in circles. So after 2.5 hours, he'd parked the car, he'd found where my clinic and everything was, my managing emotions course. He'd gone in, it was all locked up. He found a woman to talk to who said, no, they left hours ago. Then there's no one here. And she'd kindly then lent him her phone so that he could ring home and talk to Mum. So yeah, my dad doesn't have a phone, and he'd forgotten to take Mum's phone with him. So that was the drama. And at that point, as soon as I heard he was okay, like the relief, I was just absolutely, I crashed at that point. I was like, I could have just immediately gone to sleep in the van, because I didn't realize just how badly I was really feeling until the relief part. So then I was like, oh, thank God. And then we drove back, and my partner stopped at a filling station, which he was happy about because it was the cheapest diesel he'd seen ever. So he was happy that he got a cheap fill up for his van. And then at this point, I finally turn around and I say hello to our puppy that's on the back seat, because he's been whining since the second I've got into the van, wanting attention, to be like, hello, say hello, I'm here. But then I finally say hello to him, which he was happy about. He's a very big puppy now. He's coming up to his first birthday. And man, is that another story for another day. That puppy was an absolute disaster. That's the biggest mistake my partner and I have ever jointly made, was getting that puppy. But we persevered. So I say, can you take me straight back to my house so I can see Dad? So we drove back to mine. We live really close to each other. We're like 4 roads apart. It's just really convenient. So yeah, and then my family, well, my dad and I, we've never had we're not a huggy people, but I was like, I don't care. The second I get in, I'm hugging my dad. So I hugged him, and I'm like, I'm so glad you're okay. I thought you'd had an accident and it was all my fault. And then he turns around and he's like, I'm sorry for being so useless. And it's like, it broke my heart. I'm like, no, you're not useless, not useless. And oh man, so that was an experience. So I got in. So the very first thing I need to do now is get my dad a phone. He needs either a phone or a GPS tracker in his car so that this doesn't ever happen again. Because my mum was also freaking out as well, because of course she's, at home waiting for news or sending me texts and going, has he turned up yet? Has he turned up yet? So yeah, then I get in the house, and with all the drama and the stress of what was going on, I'd completely forgotten that Mum had told me that she'd found this dead robin in our driveway. So I come in the house, and the very first thing I see on the top of the fridge is this dead robin. I'm like, oh, it's such a cute little robin as well. It was so soft and squishy, and fluffy. And then I made kind of to lighten the mood, I made this really morbid joke of saying, "Oh, we should find a taxidermist and get him stuff so that we can put him on our Christmas tree next year." I was joking. We buried him the next day. But yeah, that was an experience. Then my partner and I went back to his house and watched some Doctor Who, and then had some dinner. So finally at 8 o'clock, I'm getting my food, and I've been out for hours and hours at this point. So that was my exciting Tuesday. I kind of find it very funny that I went to a course to learn to manage my emotions. I did not manage my emotions, that's for sure. So yeah, that happened. So my dad, he is actually safe to drive. So you don't need to. No one needs to worry. He is safe to drive. He passed all those spatial awareness tests and everything that the hospital he was under was doing. So he's okay for driving and everything. He's safe. He's not a danger to others or anything. He's just a danger of getting lost, as we discovered. So that was my exciting trip, and I had the worst pain flare up for years. I can't remember the last time I had such a severe pain flare up. So I don't. The following day, Wednesday, I had to cancel all my plans. I have this disability art group that I go to. That's every 2 weeks, but I haven't been since before Christmas because it's been one thing or another, or I've been ill. So I had to message them and said, yeah, there's absolutely no physical way I can get in to this thing this week. All right, what colour do I need next? I'm going to show you what all my tray setup looks like. Ta-da! Every single colour drill gets its own tray. That's how my setup works. And this piece actually has 52 colours in it. So that's a lot of trays. Right, do I need any 7s? Let's find something to work on. It's like finding where on earth I put any of my pots. Here we go. Here's another colour. So yeah, now I'm really nervous to go back to do the rest of the course at Leatherhead. So we will see how that goes, because it was a 4-week course, so I'll be there again. Yeah, I've got medical appointments or stuff going on every single week now until the end of March. It's feeling a bit overwhelming. So I've got to go back to Leatherhead next week, which he's usually okay finding places because he's got the sat nav, so it should be all right for my dad to drop me there, and then hopefully that guy that I met who was attending the course will still be happy to give me a lift home afterwards. If not, I will go and I will sit in a pub and I'll wait for my partner to finish work, and then I'll be like, hey, come rescue me again, please. But I'm so grateful for my partner. He is my white knight in shining armour. Yeah, I'm so grateful every day that he's part of my life. And yeah, then on Wednesday I've got my annual EDS specialist appointment up in Stanmore in London, and my partner has taken a day off work for that one. And it was last week when I told my father that Aidan had taken the day off work to take me up to Stanmore in London. My dad was like, oh, but I take you. It's no bother, I can take you. And I feel like really guilty because I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to put you through over a 2-hour drive and stuff like that. And Aidan's already taken the day off. Yeah, his name's Aidan. I was trying not to say his name for security or whatever, but there you go. His name is Aidan. That's my partner's name. Yeah, so we've got that excitement. And I always get so nervous doing these annual EDS checkups. I just have fear of hospitals in general because I've spent most of my life in and out of hospital since I was about 6 years old. So I have hospital fear. So we've got that on Wednesday, and then we've got Leatherhead again on Tuesday, and we've got my parents. I managed to get both of my parents booked in for blood tests at relatively the same time on the same day on Thursday. And actually after the nightmare that was was Tuesday, the following day I got a phone call from the surgery saying, "Hi, your father's due a medication review and all this." And I told them about the drama that had happened the day before of losing him and worrying about what had happened to him. And they said that they were ringing to say that they've got this new pilot scheme starting for people with dementia and people who can come around and help and whatnot. I can't remember what the details were. I wasn't really with it that day at all. But I was like, yes, whatever it is, sign me up. I will take all the help I can get, because it's an upsetting disease, dementia, especially like, I guess I was very kind of protected as a child because I was born with disabilities, that my father was always my safety net. If I had to go to a hospital appointment or get somewhere, he'd take me, and he was always reliable to happily take me to all my hospital appointments over the last 3 decades of my life. So yeah, it's an adjustment not having him as my safety net anymore, and it is going to be trial and error to work out in future, how do I manage these appointments, and if Dad is picking me up for somewhere, maybe Mum ought to come as well to give directions and then have a phone in case anything goes wrong in the future. So there's also it's this special volunteer run program that's in my town, where for just a few pounds, if you're disabled, they will take you to medical appointments and pick you up afterwards for just like £2 each direction. So I have already registered for that. I registered for that last year, but I've been too nervous to kind of ask them, because new things scare me. I'm not great with change, but that is something I will look into doing in the future as well. But the problem is, I don't want my dad to feel useless. Like when he said that whole "I'm sorry for being utterly useless," and my heart was just breaking at that point, because it's like, no, you're not useless. But he does seem to be he hasn't been very great this week. It's probably from driving around Leatherhead for 2.5 hours and me being in Leatherhead for over 6 hours. And yeah, so we're all a bit drained and wiped out for that. And even after like everything was resolved, my anxiety, it just would not settle down. Like the whole afternoon, my anxiety was just going flat out. I was just hearing noises outside my door. Maybe we'll get a guest appearance from someone in a minute. So that was my exciting news. If any of you are caring for family members or anyone who's got oh, I'm hearing noises again. Oh yeah, there's a noise. There's a person. Do you want to come say hello on my video? What? Do you want to come say hello on my video? I'm recording a video. Do you want to? You can stick your hand under here and wave.
Stick my hand where?
Under there and wave. Under here.
There.
Yeah.
Hi.
You could show everyone your really painful fingers.
Oh, painful finger.
Over here a bit. No, this way. Painful fingers. Have you got any more scratches on this hand? It's that one that's got the plaster on.
That one's got a plaster on. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Bye-bye again.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Mum says bye. Yeah, it was this that I knocked everywhere.
Oh.
Because I had a mountain piled and it all fell off.
Oh, I thought it would be that.
No, it wasn't the trays. It was... Actually, I moved the camera so people can see. It was this whole box. I had stuff piled all the way up here, and I knocked everything onto the floor. So this is where all my kitting up process, all the drills are in their little baggies, and I knocked the entire thing on the floor, along with everything else that was on this standy thing. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Okie dokie. Bye-bye.
That's funny.
Yeah. Okay, this is... You can...
I
go
can
now.
go now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
We'll be watching the qualifying soon.
Right. Bye-bye. No, I haven't got the dog. Yeah. Last night was really cute. My dog decided to sleep on my bed while I was diamond painting. It's quite sweet. But yes, my heart goes out to anyone else who's like a carer for a relative who has any kind of health issues, because it's a very upsetting thing when you're worrying about someone the whole time. So it was interesting that that experience. Now I know how my parents felt when I was about 5 years old. We were staying at my aunt's B&B, and she had dogs, and I love dogs. We didn't have any dogs at that point. I didn't get my first dog till I was 16. So anyway, we were staying at this B&B, my aunt's B&B, and she'd taken the dogs out, and I thought, I was 5 years old, I thought, oh, I can catch up with her and go out with the dogs too. So I just left the house to try and catch up with her. And of course I didn't find her, so I was wandering around the woods for quite a few hours probably. I pooped behind a tree, as you do when you're 5 years old and wandering around a forest not knowing where to go. And eventually I gave up and I found my way back to the B&B. And that was the first time in my entire life that my dad, he just threw his arms around me and hugged me as a child. Because clearly he was probably having the exact same worry that I was having last week when he went missing. So now I kind of know what parents feel like when their kids go missing, and that worry, because now I get to feel that for my parents when something happens. So that was my experience. So I've just been so wiped out from that experience with my chronic pain flare-up that I haven't actually, I think I was sleeping for 16 hours again. So moving the camera to get you better in place. Also, I'm hoping the video quality will be better on this. So it's a bit of a trial and error, because I can't quite remember the way I used to have stuff set up when I did my art videos, because it's been so long. And I noticed when I had so much trouble with that past WIP and chat that I uploaded, it ended up taking 28 hours to upload that video. And it's so blurry and out of focus. And it's like, I recorded that in HD and it's not even showing up in HD. So I was recording that using both webcams, and I was using probably a very out-of-date version of OBS, Open Broadcast software, to record that. So this time I'm just recording with just the one webcam, and the microphone's a lot closer to me, because I had a lot of audio issues with that first video where it was so quiet you couldn't hear it, so I had to sort of fiddle with the audio to try and get it so you could at least hear me. But trial and error, we're working on it. If anyone has any suggestions for better webcams or better microphones, that would be great, because I'm kind of worried that I might be blowing your ears out, because at some points I'm like watching the little microphone thing, and at some points it's like hitting the red, but yet my volume isn't really changing that much, so I keep getting errors saying no audio detected, and it's like, well, there's recording audio, so I don't know, it's strange. All my tech is very obsolete at this point. So shall we talk more about diamond painting and happy things? So yeah, this was my it's my second Diamond Art Club square piece. So also, I don't think I showed you my special pen. I have this special pen that I got. I think it was from Etsy, and it was handmade for me. Wood churned pen. I think it was like Jay's wood turning or something. Maybe I'll try and find the link and put that in the description as well if you're interested in my awesome pen that I got. There was actually a mistake with my first order, because I have like trouble with my hands because of the EDS and everything. Like, it gets very painful and stiff, which is another reason I don't draw anymore. So I find like your standard pink pens are too thin. This is sort of an example, which I decorated this pen myself. Put little diamonds on it. So your standard pink pen's too thin. That's better when you've got the squishies on it. And then I've got this pen, which was given to me as a gift for Christmas from someone from my disability art group. I think this is an acrylic one, but there's something about it. It like hurts where it rests on my finger. It really hurts. So I was like, maybe if I can get something slightly bigger than that, slightly smaller than that. Maybe that'll work better. So this one fits perfectly in the middle. It's slightly smaller than that one, slightly bigger than that one. So that's great, but they misread my email the first time, and I think the woman's name was Shirley, and she said that she thought the pen that they'd made was probably too big before it even got posted, but it was Jay who had turned it. So this was the pen they sent me, and I got it and I was like, this is way too big for me to kind of comfortably hold, because it's hurting my finger again because it's too big. And they and I was really like awkwardly like, should I message them and say anything or not, because I hate like complaining about anything. I'm the kind of person who would usually put up with it, but I mean it was £22 for this pen and I couldn't use it because it's too big. So I did message them and said, thanks so much for the fast delivery, but unfortunately the pen's actually too big to use. And I sent a picture with them all lined up, and they said, oh, we're so sorry. I thought that after it was turned that it was possibly going to be way too big. So then they made me this one and sent it free of charge as a replacement, which is great. So I might ask the woman who's at my disability art group if she wants that other larger pen, if it would be any good for her, because she diamond paints as well. She's the only person I've ever met in real life who diamond paints, which is quite cool. So yeah, because I don't want it to go to waste, or we shall see. Maybe it will end up doing a giveaway or something if she doesn't want it. So yeah, this painting is going very slowly, and I started when I couldn't fit it on my desk. I was like, maybe I'll try and do it on my bed, and that wasn't great because after like a few hours, like my shoulder was absolutely killing me. I was like, no, I'm gonna have to find a way to squish this on my bed, squish this on my desk. It has to fit on my desk because there's no way I can work on it otherwise. So it's sort of awkwardly on my desk, and unfortunately, like when I first discovered Diamond Art Club, I was sort of going, oh, I really like this picture, and I really like this picture. Yeah, I'm going to get that one, and this one, and got all these pictures, and wasn't looking at the sizes that I bought. So I've got quite a lot of paintings now, which are like 4 times as big as this one, and I'm like, yeah, they might have to get done last in my stash. And I just noticed that my camera's fallen down again, so you can't really see what I'm doing. Hold on. So the only problem with this webcam for recording visual is that it's really heavy, so it's like pulling my camera thing down. So, alright, how long have we been going? Probably about half an hour. That's probably a good time to call it, so it doesn't take 28 hours to upload the video again. Hopefully, maybe. But I just thought I'd get it off my chest, the drama that happened last week. I ran out of colour. Yeah, so anyway, thanks so much for listening and listening to me rant about the stress. So yeah, my heart goes out to anyone else who's caring for relatives who've got dementia or health issues and everything. It's quite a taxing job and a worrying job. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully I'll get this picture finished. I'm not sure. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks, because it's also like the zodiac sign or something for Pisces, which is my birthday is in March 19th. So that's coming up soon. So I thought this would be a good project to do because it's the right star sign for this month. And I did double check with them actually, because in the group, the Mermaids and Magic 2023 group, I was like, does this qualify, or am I pushing the theme a bit much? Because it's fish, not mermaids, but it kind of looks like a magical kind of background. So I'm going to say the magic fish. And they said, yes, it's fine, which is good, because the only other mermaid that I've got in my stash, lots of other people have already started it. And I was like, no, going to be different. And I'm sure I've said that already, but there you go. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. If you made it to the end of the video, leave a fish emoji. We're going to go with fish. Fish for the... yeah, fish emoji. And thanks so much for watching, and please feel free to hit that likes button, the thumbs up button, on your way out, because it does really help my channel and those makes me know if I should keep uploading or not, and everything with the YouTube algorithms. And I shall let you go. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good rest of your week. Fingers crossed next week goes better with my Leatherhead exciting trips and my Stanmore trips and various hospital trips. Yes, fingers crossed. It'll be fine. Nothing's going to go wrong next week. It's all going to be good. We're going to keep saying that to ourselves. Power of positive thinking. Okay, thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.